Hello, good evening, dear students. See, I already told in the previous video that in the third last video I would be detailing the different poetic devices, that is literary devices used in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, and I also told that I will be telling what could be the message of this poem. So let's see. First of all, we will discuss all the poetic devices stanza by stanza. See, first stanza, the literary devices. First is rhyme scheme. And you already know, I have already told the rhyme scheme how to find out. So you see the last word in each line: stripes, cage, quiet, and rage. So the poetic device is A, B, C and B. Okay, because cage and rage same. Now first over, now second enjambment. Enjambment, that is sentence is continuing to the next line without any punctuation mark. You can see in the first line. Can you see in the first line? He talks in his vivid style. There is no comma, full stop, no punctuation mark, and continues in the next line. This is enjambment. Third is metaphor. Metaphor, that is used to compare without the use of as and like. So tiger's paws. Tiger's paw, his feet, paws are compared with velvet. Pads of velvet. Pads of velvet, this is metaphor. Okay, tiger's feet, that is his paws, are compared with velvet. Now coming to the next, that is personification. Since tiger is already an animal, it has got life, but in this poem the poet has assumed it like a living being, like a human, like a person. So he, okay, in place of it, the tiger has used he. So this is personification. Now next is imagery. What is imagery, children? Imagery, it is used to make a reader to perceive, to notice, to visualize, to think, to form a mental picture, to think about an image involving all five senses. So just imagine, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. This line, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. Just form a picture in your mind, an image, how you will drawing the picture of a caged tiger. So this is imagery. Now coming to next, it is consonance, that is use of s sound, that is stalks s, then s here, and then stripes is s, and then here s. This is consonant sound s. Coming to assonance, use of vowel sound, that is I. You can see in I his vivid stripes. And last in this is oxymoron. You can see oxymoron. Use of adjectives opposite in meaning. You can see rage is anger, and opposite of rage, that is quiet. So this is oxymoron. Okay, children. Now coming to the second stanza. Now let's move on to the second stanza. In this also the rhyme scheme is same only, A, B, C, B. Okay, grass and pass, that is BB. Grass and pass, BB, and hole and shadow. Next second, it is enjambment, and now you know what is enjambment. So sliding through the grass, that is, you can see no comma, no punctuation mark, and it's continued in the next line. Third is alliteration, that is use of sound P at the start of two words, plump and pass, P and P. And last is imagery, again visualize a picture, form a picture, that is the poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activities. Okay, so tiger's activity, What? Lurking in shadow. This is the activity of the tiger. Now coming to third stanza, rhyme scheme is same only. Houses, edge, village, A, B and C and B village. Now coming to enjambment also in the first line, no comma, no nothing, no punctuation marks, and continue in the second line. Coming to third, that is onomatopoeia. This is using words which denote sound. So the sound is here snarling. Can you see snarling? That is warning sounds made by animals. Here it is made by the tiger. So onomatopoeia. Coming to fourth, that is assonance. Assonance, use of vowel sound. Okay, so let's see two vowel sounds in this stanza. First is O, should, around, house. Should, then around, then house. Sound of O. Okay, and next sound of I, bearing, his, white, his. Bearing, his, white, his. The sound of I. Now coming to consonant, that is use of consonant sound. S. In the line, his fangs, his claws. His fangs, his S. Okay, his here S and then here S and fangs S and S. That is consonant sound S. Coming to the next fourth stanza, children. The rhyme scheme is same. A, B and C, B. Okay. Bars and visitors. Personification is there. His and he. You can see in place of it is used he. Assumed like a person, living being. Because the tiger is personified, because the poet refers him as he. Now assonance, vowel sound used here. He locked concrete cell. He locked here concrete and cell. Sound of E. Sound of E. Now next is consonants. Consonant, that is use of consonant sound. S sound. That you can see his strength bars. His strength then bars. Sound of S. His S strength then bars. Last is alliteration. That is repetition of the same sound words in the same line. That is B and B. Behind bars BB. Coming to last fifth stanza, children. The same rhyme scheme. A, B, C, B. Okay. Cars and stars. Now enjambment. Enjambment you can see. And stares with brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. And last it is assonance. Use of I sound with his brilliant. His brilliant. His and brilliant. Sound of I. Now children, overall in all the poem, one alliteration, that is the sound of H in he hears. The last, he hears, H and H here. That is alliteration. Now children, apart from all these poetic devices, the literary devices, two, that is quiet, rage in the first stanza. Okay, first stanza, quiet, rage, and one more quiet. This quiet and this quiet repeated. Okay, and in the last stanza also brilliant and brilliant. These two are repeated. We say the poetic device is repetition. R-E-P-I-T-I-T-I-O-N. Repetition. Poetic device is repetition. Okay, the poet has repeated these two in order to heighten or focus that the tiger is helpless in all aspects. All his ferociousness, all his power and strength is behind the bars. So even if he tries to jump or leap out it is helpless to do that. So he has controlled his anger. Okay, so he is quiet and moving only within a limited space. And brilliant, that is shining. His eyes are gleaming. His eyes are shining. His eyes are brilliant. And he is staring, looking continuously at the stars, expecting. He is wishing if he could be free to go in his wild forest. Now coming to the message of the poem, children. Let's see. In this poem, the poet tries to depict the mental condition of a caged tiger. What could be his mental condition? He compares the life of a tiger in the zoo with its life in its natural habitat. The poet conveys an important message that the wild animals should be in their natural habitat. In the poem, he heightens the contrast between freedom and captivity. So children, you also sometimes want freedom. Everybody wants freedom, and freedom is what? A natural feeling. So the poet very impressively shows us how love for freedom is the natural instinct of every living being. Isn't? So, for every living being, the tiger in this poem too wishes to go back. To go back to where? To his natural space, where he would enjoy his freedom but has been captivated by the humans in the zoo for their fun, recreation, or a sport. So, everybody wants freedom. Here the tiger too wants freedom from the cage. So that's all, children. Textual questions I have already posted, and complete the textual questions. That's all. Bye to you all. Thank you, children.